Oh man, you guys are
All
funny.
right. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Hump Day Happy Hour. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. We've got my buddy George Antone on the other line. Hey George, say hey to everybody.
Hey man, how are you? Hi everyone. I have to tell you guys, I'm excited about hanging out with this guy. He is incredible. He's funny. Every time we talk, we just end up laughing so much, and hopefully we'll have a good time here too.
You know, this might be the longest continuous happy hour because we're about 1,700 miles apart.
Well, I'm having my ice what is it called, iced tea here from In-N-Out. So
Well, I'm taking it to happy because it's 5 o'clock here. Having a little Austin East Siders hop cider here. It's actually an Austin brew. Pretty good here. So you see it kind of. There we go. Steph, you got an Austin Amber going on over there, right?
Have an awesome.
Have a little happy hour. So
you know what, Scott, I have to tell everyone the story when we were on the panel. That was hilarious. We were on a panel with I think like 4, 5, 6 people, and it was the last panel for the an event in Las Vegas.
it was actually Dallas. Dallas
Dallas?
when
Yeah.
Jack Dallas Noteworthy a couple years back.
While we're sitting there, the first thing that happened is Scott leans over and says, "What do you want to have, or what do you want to drink, or something like that?" And I thought he was kidding. Well, so I just said something like beer or whatever, and I'm just laughing. And so we start the panel, and halfway through, a whole bunch of people walk in, waiters with beers and alcohol and all that stuff, and I'm like, "Is this real?" And they walked up to us, and then they all gave us our different drinks, and that was so funny, and everyone starts laughing, and it is people like Scott Carson. You have to be very careful, dangerous guy.
Well, you know, it was a long couple days. It was like
Yeah.
the last panel of the day, and it was. I think the whole event was running an hour behind, hour and a half behind. So we were supposed to be done at 5, and this thing was starting at like right at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And all I remember was it was in the brand new NOLA hotel there in Dallas or outside of Dallas, and those bright ass Gestapo lights that were shining down on us. And it was you and me and Jillian Sadati were on there, and Donna Bauer was on there. We're just like, oh. And then, of course, half the group is out at the bar already having drinks, having a good time. We can hear them. We're like, come on, Jack, let's end this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sure enough, I reached over to Jillian and said, what do you want? And she wanted a dirty martini. George wanted a beer, so we had him bring a Stella. I ordered a bourbon on the rocks. Donna was a glass of blush wine. I think she was the most shocked that it actually showed up. So here comes Stefan with a tray with drinks for all of us. It was a good time. So
That was hilarious.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think George will appreciate it, and we do a lot of this when we're going to events. Is it's kind of just about kicking back and visiting with people, getting to know people one-on-one. And that's really where the best relationships are made. I think, you know. And I remember you were the next year you awarded the 27th annual Note Educator of the Year at Noteworthy, and then I was the year after, and you told the same story in front of everybody at Vegas.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good to give you that award because it was funny. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Scott,
George, what are some things you're working on up there in Sacramento right now? Give everybody kind of an idea of what you're working on. Anything fun, you know, that stuff?
Well, I'm working on.
Things you're working on.
You know, I do. What's that?
Sorry, I had a mic on here. Was just adjusting things. You're good. You're good.
Hold on a second. Someone keeps knocking. Hold on. Give me 1 second here.
Well, hey, everybody, while George is answering the phone or the door there, feel free to go ahead and post questions on chat roll there. I believe you got to log in with your Facebook or Twitter handle on, and we'll be taking questions here in a little bit. We probably think it's going to go 35, 45 minutes. We got some questions we'll ask each other, but really looking forward to the questions you guys want to ask us as we're kind of just hanging out. And
Did you send this?
Hey, there you go.
What the hell? Someone kept knocking on the door. I'm like, I have a sign that says "Don't bother," and I get this delivery, and my wife is here, and she said you called someone who called someone, and they sent me this New Belgium Ben & Jerry's beer. What the hell? Are you kidding?
Well, we were going to try to get a pint glass sent over there at the last minute, but that didn't.
I've never seen this. This is Ben and Jerry's, and this is my wife here. Let me just embarrass her.
No, come on.
Say it to everybody. It's awesome.
Anyway, sorry. So what am I working on? Well, let me open this beer now. Cheers, man.
Cheers, salute, man.
God, this is so weird. What am I working on? I'm working on a book called Debt Millionaire, almost done, and it's been going extremely well. And I got to tell you, I get this bug of writing once in a while, and I'm right in the middle of this bug right now. And I spend about a few hours every day just trying to complete it, but I'm loving it. How about you? What are you working on?
Yeah, we're also in the process of writing a book as well called the Paper Houses.
Wow.
Kind of a, I won't say intro book, but you're basically on investor notes in the paper game and kind of providing a book that gives a lot of people the A to Z on kind of some things. So that's.
Do you actually write your own book, or do you have someone write it for you?
Well, one thing that I found that has worked really, really well for me is I'm a better storyteller than I'm a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually filming little short, like hour-long videos of me telling stories about the industry and teaching, and then I have somebody who's going to transcribe it all, put it all together for me, and then I'll go back and edit it.
Ah, interesting. That's how I did my first book, but yeah, this book I'm actually writing word for word, and I suck in writing, but there's some kind of fulfillment for me that I get from writing. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think once you get down, and there's something to be said about putting pen to paper and really putting your thoughts down and diving down tangent. That's I want to get the skeleton out there first, and then kind of go back and fill it in as we go. But that's the process we're doing. A little bit every day, knocking it out, because I think a lot of people have the old idea of I'm going to sit down at a typewriter or my computer and write for 3 weeks straight, and
Yeah.
I don't think I know anybody that's creative enough to do that in a continuous basis. I mean, you might be, but I have too much ADHD in me.
Did you say typewriter?
Yeah. I took keyboarding in high school, which people are like, "What's that?" You know.
Oh man, yeah. I never thought I'd ever write. I was terrible in English class. I always barely made it. I always got a B or something in English, but I never ever thought I'd ever write. But that was interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank God. I mean, I was a and B student and a C student for the most part, but I had fun. I mean, if I went to class, I stayed through, especially through college. If I went to the class, I'd make an A. If I didn't show up, I was just doomed. I would never read the textbooks. I just was a good learner that way. But I think that's kind of I think I kind of approach life like that. Don't give me the A to Z. I'm definitely not an engineer where I need details.
Yeah.
Details. I'd rather dive in, get my hands dirty, and learn as I go. And I guess that's the best way for me to learn things and go from there. But so George, tell everybody kind of how you got started, because you've already been a writer and a best-selling author as well with The Banker's Code. Why don't you give everybody that's joined us, because we've got for those that are watching, I know George is in a little bit different group following than mine, and vice versa. Well, there's quite a bit of crossover. But George, why don't you tell me a little about your history and kind of how you got to where you are today?
I started working part-time with my dad when I was 15, and he owned a lot of businesses. And he owned a restaurant, real estate, hotel, insurance agency, you name it, he owned it. And I worked with him part-time all the way through 18, at which point he passed away. And so suddenly, overnight, I went from thinking about girls and girls to I have to keep 50 employees employed. And that happened overnight. So so that was sort of a turning point for me when I realized that, I focused on business, and I started falling in love with owning businesses. And fast forward, I worked in high tech, Microsoft, Intuit, number of companies, and then 2001, I walked away from high tech into investing, real estate, and private lending, and running hedge funds, and I loved that business. There's no drama with employees, none of that stuff. And that was 2001, and I never looked back. And so since then, I've built the largest network of private lenders in the country, in fact, in the world, and we have them. We have them funding so many loans, and we've done, I think, over $1 billion in private loans in the last 12 months or so. So it's been incredible. How about you? Tell everyone about your background, your story, because I think your story is fascinating.
Just a dumb jock from South Texas. No, just grew up. Dad was an entrepreneur. Mom, they owned the local hardware store in a little small town called Ingleside, Texas. About 3,500 people when we first moved there. And so I was in the fourth grade, I guess, eighth grade. He used to go to work with my dad. He was, always worked for hardware stores, but then he opened his own shop and just, putting around the hardware store. It's really, for a young kid, it's a wealth of excitement and toys and trouble that you can get into. With explosives and wiring and acid and paint and all that good stuff. So I had a lot of fun there at the hardware store helping my dad, but I started, left there and was fortunate enough to play college football for a couple of years. I got a scholarship and went off to school to do that, and took a year off after 2 years. Didn't know really what I wanted to be, but I knew I kind of wanted to get into business. So after a year off and bouncing around Texas, I ended up in San Marcos, Texas, which is now Texas State University, and finished with a business degree there. And out of like a lot of people out of college, I was wet behind the ears and excited and kind of had a lot of job offers at the time, and started working for a company. Worked for Enterprise Rent a Car for 90 days. Knew that wasn't for me. Started working for Verizon Wireless, and that was much better. I made a lot of good money with them, and worked for them about a year and a half, 2 years. But I knew it wasn't what I ultimately wanted to do, and so I had that entrepreneurial bug kind of come back at me, and I liked numbers and started getting into the financing side, and I actually got my securities license on the side, and insurance license and loan officer's license, and started teaching people kind of financial education. The rule of 72 and compound interest and doing loans and helping people invest, and left.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I was doing good. That worked for a company here in town, and was on my way to make six figures with them the first year, and then they went out of business. They literally closed up overnight. We'd bought our first house. I was married at the time, and started investing. Our realtor was like, "Hey, have you thought about being a real estate investor?" And this was back in 2001, 2002, and of course, anybody could get a loan at that point. A dead body could get a loan, and we had good credit, but we ended up buying our first house, and then a realtor talked us about buying a couple more. I was like, yeah, I grew up in a hardware store. I can fix anything from plumbing all the way up to the roof. And sure, I flip this house. Sure, I want to be a landlord. And about 3 months after we closed on our second investment property, Dell Computers here in town went down the drain, and they laid a lot of people off. They're still in business, but they laid a lot of people off, switched around their manufacturing. And so our tenants, our houses, our two investment properties went vacant. I got laid off. So we were literally making 6 mortgage payments, 3 firsts and 3 seconds on a private school teacher salary. And I've said this before, if you want to learn about foreclosures, just quit making your mortgage payment. You'll learn everything out firsthand. Not the kind of way you want to roll up your sleeves and dive into stuff. And I was doing anything I could. Waiting tables, delivering packages for FedEx home delivery, bartending. Luckily enough, a few months went by. I got a job in a high-tech company, Cirrus Logic, here in Austin for 6 months. Hated that. Was working with engineers all day long. Nothing against engineers, but it's just not my cup of tea. And lo and behold, my buddy that I'd known when we were working as financial advisors opened a mortgage company and got hooked up with a couple real estate investors here in Austin who were traveling, teaching lending, owner financing, and wraparound mortgages and creative financing. And I took to it like a moth to a flame. And that was in 04, 05, and so I was doing mortgages and learning real estate investing the right way, options and wholesaling, and got my assets out of a sling, and did that for a couple of years. Started doing a lot of short sales, and then when 07 rolled around, I launched my own company, and then of course everything happened in 08 and 09 with the mortgage debacle, and I stopped doing short sales and I stopped doing mortgages, and I dove head into paper, and it's been like that ever since. So
Now, it's funny you're saying what you're about the real estate. A lot of investors get into real estate investing, but what they don't realize is buying a property is one thing, keeping the property is a whole different story, and the result of that is that most investors end up asset rich and cash poor.
Yeah.
And if one thing goes south, they're out. And so, and I'm glad you're saying what you're saying, because this is a great lesson for most people. The money is in the financing, and it's not just owning properties. A lot of people are so in love with the idea of owning properties that they forget what it's really about. And ultimately, it's really about what would give you this peace of mind, the security that you're looking for. And so anytime I have people walk up to me and say, I'm a real estate investor, I know immediately they're asset rich and cash poor. And they're one mortgage payment away from losing everything.
It's surprising. You're right about that, George. I saw a survey. 85% of Americans are still like one missed paycheck away from being in default. I mean, it's been that way for 6, 7, almost 10 years now for the most part. But we see a lot of that on the paper side of things. I mean, we always buy to try to get cash flow. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Instead of, I don't want to own the property. I mean, we do as a result of a lot of stuff, but I don't want to rehab the property. I want to rehab the borrower. I want to bring cash flow in and make money on it and then turn into the lender.
Yep.
And I think that's why we have a lot of crossover. You're doing loans and private lending, become the lender, and we step into the lending shoes as well quite a bit. So it's, if you're in the paper game, you're making money one way or another for the most part.
Yep, exactly.
So I prepared something here. If anybody's got any questions, now's the time to kind of ask it. Where is it? I got thought it would be kind of a fun. It said like a David Letterman's top 10. Big officially here. I took a few minutes to write it on a piece of paper. 6.5 questions for George Antone.
Oh, shit.
6.5.
Well, I'm going to have to ask you the same questions back then.
That's fine. We got a question.
They're going to be bounced back.
Well, I'll give you a second before Philip asked a question. How do we find an insurance agent that understands the banking system concept so we can maximize the cash value instead of the death benefit?
I'll answer to that. It's really, you just have to ask a lot of people to get to the right person. But there's a lot of certification out there for that. So you want to call different insurance agents and ask if they are certified in that process. And again, there are multiple types of certifications. So I'd have to know more specifically which type of cash value insurance they're looking for in terms of the banking system. There's infinite banking. There's a number of other ones. So just find out. Just call a lot of the different insurance agents and just find out if they're certified in the banking system, whether it's an IUL or whole life, and using it the right way. So hopefully that helps you, Philip.
How to find an insurance agent helps. I agree with that. Philip, it's gonna be a phone call system. I mean, I would probably reach out to the local investment clubs and anybody you have any insurance agents that are part of that. That might be a good way. There was a gentleman that Aaron Young had speaking at one of his events a while back. Was it Jeff Conway? Was a buddy of mine. I could drop you his information. I think Jeff kind of gets it. He's out of California, Southern California. Well, I can put you in touch with him. And then I know you're on the East Coast, so maybe that'll help. I'm not an insurance agent. It's been a long time since I sold any type of insurance. It was mostly term at that point. But anyway, good question. We'll keep the ball rolling here, though. So. I think you kind of answered this question, the first one, when you talked about your past, George. When was the first moment that you knew you were an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I referred to that, but the first time ever my dad asked me when I was 15 to start working with him, I was extremely reluctant, and then I found out that you can attract girls if you have this perception of success. So I'm like, sure, why not? And what's funny is my dad, the first day at work with my dad, he gives me a check and he says, I want you to go deposit this check in the bank. And so I went to the bank and I was so nervous because I had no idea what to do. And my dad had called the manager at the bank and said, meet him and talk to him one-on-one. So imagine me walking into the bank, nervous, not knowing what to do, and this guy comes up and takes me to a room one-on-one. At this point, I'm freaking out. I'll never forget that day. And he starts talking to me about all this, all this stuff. And then he tells me, "Oh, your dad called me." That's when I knew. I'm like, "Wow, this is power." And that's the day I knew that, you know what, I want to do this. It was fascinating. How about you?
It's almost it's an eerily similar story. Dad would send me down. I mean, because literally Ingleside's a small town. I could walk like the 2 blocks, the local independent bank of Ingleside, and Dad would send me, take the deposit slips and put it in there and put it in a little, bank check and give it to me. Say, stuff it down your shirt so nobody sees you. This young kid walking down the street with a bank bag. And sure enough, called the banker. I walked to the bank, went up to the teller, like, "Oh, Mr. Carson, we've been expecting you." And I'm here, this 4th grade kid. I guess I was 9 or 10 at the time, and off in the back room with the president and setting things up, and I'm sitting there trying to act like I know what the hell I'm doing. And sure enough, 30 minutes later, he pulls up my dad just to having a good time, and we opened my first bank account then, and we learned, like, oh, cool. And then so literally after that, I was like, wait a second, let me start figuring some stuff out. So I started taking odd jobs on the side of anything from like pulling weeds to pulling an electrical cord. I was like an electrician's assistant one summer, mowing lawns. I had fortunate enough, there's a little kind of retirement community on the outside of Ingleside in the Bay, they call it, and I had one lady out there who would have me come out and do odd jobs for her, from mowing her lawn to fixing, replacing light bulbs, and she had friends. So when she went to gin, I instantly had like 5 other women that wanted me to come out and help them fix things. And so that was the great thing. So as I grew up, I always had a job mowing lawns or building fences and clearing brush, and had buddies that would come kind of work with me because they needed cash, and so I was always doing something, and it just kind of stuck that way. I think I tried to break that spirit of me in college, getting a regular job, and I waited through wait tables and bartended through college, but you take the first job, and then I look back now, I'm like, man, I'm unhireable. Nobody could ever hire me now. It's great because it's a freedom. I mean, a lot of people are always like, well, Scott, you're always working weekends or traveling or doing some stuff. I'm like, yeah, but it's always at my own kind of pace. I'm doing what I want to do.
But also, we and this is what people don't get. We love what we do.
Yeah.
And when people say you're working or you're whatever, it's like it's hard to explain that. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I mean, I love I do take vacations and stuff, but we love what we do, and it's hard for people to get that because they're employed, and it's hard for them to. But it's amazing that you remember that event. It's how every entrepreneur remembers that one point when they sort of switched over and they got the bug. That's fascinating. Very interesting story.
Do you have a hero growing up, and like somebody that you looked up to, George? Somebody that you were a big fan of, that you really followed?
My uncle, my dad, my uncles, a lot of them were extremely successful, and so I've always been surrounded by people in my life that were very successful, and they all sort of mentored me. And when my dad passed away, like I said, I was 18. My uncles stepped in and really helped me and guided me and stuff. So, how about you? Who were your mentors?
I was a big fan of Nolan Ryan growing up. I mean, the pitcher for the Rangers. I mean, I'm still a big fan of baseball, but with him, and then until I started working and doing stuff of my own, and then it was my father. I mean, my father throughout college, and he passed on about 8 years ago. But my dad was always my big influence. I mean, nothing. I mean, I'm sure he was the same way with your father and your uncle. There's nothing I could not talk to him about.
Yeah.
If I got in trouble somewhere, it was always easier to call Dad to come get me versus calling him to bail me out.
Yeah.
We got some comments here. Mike Rusica out of Philadelphia area says big fans of the Bankers coach in George Antone. That's awesome. Thanks, Mike. One of the other things I was going to ask me on that stuff there for you. I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs will run into that. They all have people that they go towards. They try to. What's the word I'm trying to think? They're drawn to people, but I think a lot of times people get, especially in this day of age, I know that I'm guilty of this sometimes because I'm a big fan of like Gary Vaynerchuk and Seth Godin and stuff like that. a lot of times we get sucked in looking at so much stuff. There's times you just got to turn that stuff off and literally start doing stuff for yourself. You know what I mean?
Hey Scott, what do you do for fun?
What I do for fun? I love going to sporting events.
Yeah.
I mean, we were very lucky last year. We hit 22 out of the Major League 30 baseball parks. So
Wow.
love going to sporting events. Love going to movies. I do read. I actually do enjoy the marketing facet of business. I'm amazed that I could. I don't know. I'm so amazed that I could send something out and it makes sense, help somebody, and somebody's buying a piece of property with a nugget, and it saves them $10,000 and cash shows up. That's still mind-blowingly crazy to me. I always am kind of tinkering down, like the book I'm reading right now is Social Media ROI. I'm reading that at the house. I'm reading like 4 or 5 different books. Changing Lanes. Got a chance to meet Jack Canfield a few weeks ago in Houston. So I'm reading his The Success Principles. Got him to autograph it. Great guy. I do try to take a lot of stuff in, but it's nice to kind of sit down somewhere on the back patio at night with a good Crown and Coke or Crown and Sprite and a good cigar and just kind of relax a little bit to take it in.
How many books do you read a year?
I do a lot of stuff online. So, I mean, I got a stack of books. I don't know if you can see back here. We just picked up a bunch behind my head over here. So I finished reading American Sniper. I've got the 21 Indisputable Qualities of a Leader by John Maxwell.
Love John Maxwell.
By Damon John. Just picked that up one. Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. So I got a whole bunch there. I picked up 12. I've picked up my reading a lot more recently than I have. So when I travel and fly, I read more when I fly than when I'm sitting at home for the most part. So I don't know, at least a good dozen or two. I would say is realistically. I mean, I'm a speed reader. Right? I just devour it. So you give me 2 hours on a plane, I'll go through a good book or two. So how about yourself, George? You got a great library there behind you, I noticed as well.
Actually, that's nothing, man. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of books. They're like in here. There's like
there you go.
Crap. I read a lot. Yeah, I love reading. I never read anything fiction. Almost never. It always has to be something that I'm going to learn from, or someone's story, or something something inspiring. So I do a lot of reading on finance because I'm fascinated by finance. I'm fascinated by the way money works.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been doing a lot of research on my book and the best way to use it to describe it is how to hack the game of finance to work for you.
That's good.
And not in a bad way, but just what are some things you can do, the average person can do, to turn the whole system to work for them as opposed to against them. And so that's why I'm fascinated by that, because I really, I know there are certain things you can do out there. By the way, I have to tell you this: I never drink beer. I just had like a few sips, and I'm already like tipsy. I'm a big guy too. But anyway, I'm having to get back to my iced tea here.
Sure, it wasn't a Long Island iced tea there beforehand, George. So there you go, everybody. Get George one-on-one. Give him one beer. By the halfway mark of the beer, he's gonna be tipsy and say yes to whatever you need to say yes to.
Yeah.
I've been reading. I don't know. The author of The Big Short. I'm sure a lot of people watched that movie. Love that movie.
Yeah.
The book was phenomenal. But the same author, he wrote The Blind Side, but he also wrote another book recently called The Flash Boys, which talks about high-frequency trading. Great book as well. That's in the truck. I literally pulled it out of my backpack before I was jumping on a plane a few weeks ago. But
what do you think of, after reading that book? What do you think of Wall Street? I mean, I think it's an obvious question, but I'm curious to know what.
I mean, totally a fixed game.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I hate to say this, but I think banking. That's why it's so important to know the rules of finance. It's so important. But the whole Wall Street, the trading, the stock market, it's a fixed game. I mean, unless you've got billions of dollars to put into it, because you can't beat the guys. That was the most thing about Flash Boys. These guys are fighting over hundredths of a second
Yep.
to be able to trade and make money on that stuff. And you know, I don't have any of my portfolio in stocks and bonds. I just don't believe in it. I mean, it's unless you've got insider tip and you're on the face of on the inside track to an IPO like Facebook or something like that. You know, you're not going to make a ton of money on stuff like that. I mean, I just don't believe it does.
You know, I use the only time I ever do anything with the stock market is to hedge.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people how to hedge, but not to make money necessarily, but just to hedge in case something goes south. But you're right. I mean, Wall Street is set up for people to fail, and people don't get that. And a lot of people that read about and learn about stock investing and mutual funds don't realize, look who wrote the book. It's the company that's selling you those things. And you know, all you have to do is just turn to the spine and look at the spine and see Wall Street Journal or whatever. You know, it's hard. And the more I learned about how things work internally and on Wall Street, you realize that it's a game that is set up for you to lose. I can't stress that enough because I'm a numbers person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paranoid about numbers, and it's set up for you, like you're saying.
It totally is. I mean, you've got to be on the inside track over there, and even the guys at work don't know what's going on. I mean, it's the inside people you don't see. I mean, it's the only literally legal, I hate to say this, but legal way that companies are stealing and doing different things. They're not going to jail, you know, versus other people doing things. You compare what goes on with Wall Street and stealing billions and billions of dollars versus some kid on the corner selling some weed for, you know, a dime bag or something like. Not that I to partake or anything, but it's not an equal kind of liberating aspect of it. You know, and we could get into politics and religion, which we won't here. Don't even get me started on the political atmosphere we have going on here. But there is one thing I want to ask you, because the country really has rebounded, I think, well, you know, real estate wise and stuff since the mortgage debacle in 2008. But there's all these rumors coming out about the negative interest rates that they're thinking about doing, and are we in a bubble, which I totally believe we are in a real estate bubble, especially on the West Coast, and it'll kind of be a wave that passes across the country. What's your take on that stuff, George? 'Cause I'm sure there's people on here who would love to hear what your take on that is.
So, you know, it's so I tell people, if enough people believe there's a bubble, it will happen, because automatically they're going to sell, or they're going to start acting. So when I knew we had a problem in 2007, when the lady cleaning our home had like 5 properties, right? And what was that?
That was before I blew up.
And you know, in the movie The Big Short, he's in the strip bar or whatever, and the stripper has more properties than he does.
Like, what do you mean mortgages?
So anyway, so one of the things I do is I tell people, try not to time things. What you want to do is you want to align yourself with the Federal Reserve. And so whatever the Federal Reserve does, you want to make money from it. So for example, if instead of, I'm going to use the word hedging here, instead of hedging inflation is always going to happen. Why don't you actually align yourself so you make money from inflation? If they increase interest rates or lower interest rates or whatever it is, everything they do has a consequence. And therefore, ask yourself, what can you do to make money off of that? So one of the things is, if a lot of people think that the market's going to go down, buy put options on stocks that strongly correlate with the real estate market. So a bank doesn't work because they have number of business units, but someone like a Pulte Homes or KB Homes, they're so dependent on real estate that their stock goes down when there's and that's what happened in 2007. I was telling people, buy put options on real estate, but you're not making money off of that, right? You're making money off of lending or buying notes, and take some of the profit and buy these put options. And if the market does go down, you actually stand to make more money than everything else you were doing combined. So that's how we play. We try not to figure out what's going to happen. We just build a portfolio so that you make money from anything happening, if that makes sense.
So as it goes up, you're in the middle. You're the fulcrum. You're making money either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So we have a question here from Phil asking before you guys have any more beer. George, what do you see as the difference from using your Roth self-directed IRA as your banking system versus permanent life insurance, like you discussed in your book, The Banker's Code?
I'm all for permanent life insurance. There's so many more benefits, and honestly, they should talk to someone who's licensed. But in every way, if you look at the numbers, and I'm not going to go into the numbers right now, but in every way, a permanent life insurance is much better. Having said that, what people have to realize is forget the vehicle for a second. It's the process of actually doing it where the money is made. So I'll give you an example. I had a wealth manager who was extremely skeptical go through a training we had on that. And without using any vehicles, just using a checking account, he went through all the numbers. And again, this guy's extremely skeptical. And in a 3 to 4 year numbers, or the historical numbers, he saw that you would make a minimum of, I think he said 19% internal rate of return, or as much as 36% internal rate of return. That's per year. And that is without any insurance, without any of this stuff, just the process of actually doing it. So people think by just owning an insurance or having a retirement account or whatever, it's going to make them rich. It's not. You have to know how to use it right. So I would say forget all that stuff first. Start a simple banking system and just use a checking account. And don't worry about it. And if you need more information, go to thefamilybankgame.com, thefamilybankgame.com, and I would highly recommend you attend one of those 2-day events nationwide. So this is put by a number of our licensees.
Thefamilybank.com?
Thefamilybankgame.com, yeah.
Family Bank Game, okay. I'll just put it out here so people can actually go to it right now. It's the great thing about this chat roll. Thefamilybankgame.com.
Thefamilybankgame.com.
I got to give. I would be remiss not to thank Chase Thompson from Note MBA as well for helping us put this together. Obviously, because he's the guy, he's the wizard behind the curtain, pulling the strings on making sure we're getting set up here and the lead pages and the chat roll. So I know that he's on here, but he's hidden his camera. So Chase, big props for you for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're in San Antonio. So technically, this is a 3-way call that Chase is controlling from San Antonio. He's pulling the strings.
Wow. Amazing. Hey, thanks, Chase. Really appreciate it.
Sweet. Let's see here. Good question from Phil. Let's see. Kevin Trim, entrepreneurs have their own political party, and their platform is simple. Ideas transfer into social and economic opportunity. That's what's built this country and what will sustain it. Okay, great. Kevin Tren says, read Andrew Swarskin's out of New York Times, Too Big to Fail. Ultimate Insight on Wall Street Banking System. Yeah, that's a great book, Kevin. You're totally right about that. Totally right about that. I'm going to go a little bit sideways. Have you seen Deadpool yet?
You know what? Last night I watched it. I was going to ask you that. Last night I watched it and freaking loved it. What do you think?
Yeah, we went and saw it Sunday night for the second time. And
wow.
Yeah, Steph was really good about booking tickets opening night, and we took there's like 6 of us that went, and I like going. We had places that have these big recliners, and they bring you food and drink and everything like that. There's not a better, more perfect role for Ryan Reynolds in that movie than that. So
I had no idea it was the nature. I don't want to give anything away, but I thought it was a very serious hero movie, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I started seeing the credits in the beginning, I started laughing. I'm like, what, is this a joke? And sure enough, the whole thing is slapstick comedy and
totally
amazing.
Totally great, man. But you think about how well marketed, because we've got a friend that actually works in Orlando, our buddy Giz, who does a lot of the marketing and works with the marketing departments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How they cross-market all these movies and all these series and guest appearances at the end and of the movies. What a franchise, how a woven web they are, and it's really, you got to think about that, applying kind of that concept to business versus just movies, and how if you're doing that with vendors and other people you're working with and affiliates and things like that, it's a amazing and fast moving machine for everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It was funny about how he was poking fun at Wolverine throughout the movie in a few spots.
Or the part he had his picture.
I look like a scrotum with teeth. Nice. Sorry, everybody. Hey, it's happy hour. We're
Sorry.
what are we? 40 minutes into it, I guess, roughly. Actually, 39 minutes into it. Yeah, we're finishing one beer, having a good time. Totally encourage you guys to ask questions. We've got 50 plus people watching. That's awesome. Thank you guys for taking time on this. I think we'll have to do this as a regular occurrence on a weekly basis with different people. So let's go back to the 6.5 questions we got here.
Oh man.
What song is on? What was the most recent song you listened to on your iPhone, or a song that's stuck in your head? It's on your phone, or?
Oh shit! This is kind of embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna really sound embarrassing. What is it called? It's from the 80s.
It's not Wham, is it?
No, it's not Wham. It's a love song. Like, what's their name? The two guys. What's their name?
Vanilli.
No, actually, it's funny. I forgot their name. It's an 80s love song.
Sing us a bar or two, George. Just sing us a bar.
No way, dude. No way. Well, there's another one. I'll just tell you another one.
Okay, all right. It was
Hard to say I'm sorry or something like that. What is it? Chicago, I think.
Chicago.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I usually jump in the truck and I have my iPhone usually on just shuffle, and so it was "Misery" actually by Metallica.
Oh, interesting.
I was like, oh, it got me pumped up actually. This morning I was driving around. I had to hit replay a few times on it, but before that I actually had Adelaide playing in there a couple of days ago. What the hell are you listening? Never mind. Fast forward. This one's something more.
You mean Adele?
Adele. That's it. Yeah, whatever. Adele. Adelaide, same thing.
Is that Hello?
Yeah.
The Hello song?
Yeah, exactly that. Hello.
Hey, sing that. That sounded good.
That's a different song. Anyway. All right, we'll move on. And Joseph, I did have little Frank on Monday night, and the Monday note was we had a lot of people on. We had estate planner on, Kevin Day, Esquire out of San Diego. A lot of people loved, so did a lot of good talk about offshore trust and things like that. So, all right, this will be one. Number 5 here? What is the one thing that surprises you the most on a daily basis, George?
On a daily basis?
Yeah.
You know what? It's how people always talk. They want something, but they're never willing to. I mean, they talk such a big talk. I want to do this. I want to change this. And when you get a small wrinkle, or a small challenge, they give up too easily. And it's like, and nobody's willing to just push through. And it bothers me so much because I know what's at the end of that tunnel, if you will. And what I tell people is you have to step into your fear, because on the other side of fear is your goal or your goals, and you have to pass through fear. But they talk, and they're not willing to do it. But they talk as if I'm gonna do whatever it takes to succeed. But it's not. I know how, we've all had difficult days, especially in the beginning. You have more difficult days than good days, but it's you have to earn your stripes to get to the other side. So, what about you?
If we had to learn how to walk as adults, we'd be all crawling along for the most part. I mean, it'd be a 5% of people that actually walking and running, and everybody else would just be in wheelchairs or never moving. It is. I think it's the 1%. One of my favorite books I read recently was the 1 degree, 211 degrees, or 213 is the difference between water boiling and not boiling. Is that 1%?
Yeah.
And it's a great book, easy flight book for me. It's so many people. Yeah, they talk a big game. They get all gung ho and out the gates. Life. I mean, a wind blows and then knocks them over. They can't do things. And I honestly believe those that are the most successful are those that have had either failed the most. You know, you fail, you've got to go through being laid off and facing foreclosure and really know what your bottom is, because a lot of people are scared of that. I don't say the glass ceilings, it's the glass bottoms. They don't want to let go because they're afraid they're going to fail.
And you know what? And I think the thing that frustrates, I'm sure both of us, is how we put so much energy into trying to help people, and when they give up on themselves. And I was watching the show last night on TV, Fit to Fat to Fit. Have you seen it?
No,
You have to watch it. Okay, Fit to Fat to Fit, and it's these trainers, okay, that gain weight so that they can have they gain like 40, 50 pounds in 4 months, and then they have to work with their clients to lose the weight. And what happens is the trainer puts their life, yeah, it's kind of weird, to work with this trainer or with the clients to lose weight, and it's all working out and all that stuff. Fascinating show, but it just shows you what we're willing to do without, hopefully, but what we're willing to do, and when the client walks away and says, this is too much work or too much whatever, and they forget why they went to the training the first place. What was their why? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think they don't have a strong enough why. It honestly, it bothers me so much. But I'm sure you probably can relate to what I'm saying.
Totally. I was on Bigger Pockets today for a few minutes, and somebody's talking about where have all the good note deals gone, And I'm like, the note deals are there. It's just that you've got to do the things that aren't the low-hanging fruit anymore. I mean, it's still a niche market, but you can't go to the online portals to find deals. You've literally got to pick up the phone. You've got to have a marketing plan. What? I can't make one phone call and everything shows up on a list every week? No. And I was talking with somebody today, and he's like, "Well, I'm just tired of all these newbies driving prices up." I'm like, "You're just being lazy. No offense. You were that same newbie person 6 months ago. You've got to realize you can't do the same things on a daily basis. You've got to prospect. You've got to market. Things just don't show up, and it's unfortunately we live in such a society that entitlement just drives me freaking bonkers. You're entitled to go to freaking work, is what I want to say, and do something.
Exactly it. You're absolutely right. In fact, the thing for me that I still remember when I'm having a bad day or something's not working, I remember when the day my dad passed away, the next morning I woke up, there was nobody there to talk to. I had no choice but to run the different businesses, and it was so difficult because I was 18, and all the employees were like much older, 2 or 3 times my age, but I had no option. There was no choice. The problem is most people have a choice, and they're too much in their comfort zone, so it's easy to go back and say, you know what, I'm going to watch TV today, or I'm going to do this, because they have a choice. But when you don't have a choice and you're down to your last penny, or you don't, that's when you see these successful people out there when they have absolutely no choice but to go up. And so I sometimes wish people to have to almost get there before they recognize how. Anyway, so I think we're.
No, you're right. Especially a lot of people when they leave their jobs the first time. And they become an entrepreneur, the freedom strangles them. I mean, It does. They wake up at 11, they go to happy hour at 2 o'clock and don't do anything after 2 o'clock. They have, as they say, banker's hours, but they don't ever accomplish anything. It's like putting on a suit and showing up and thinking things are gonna happen. No, you gotta work late. You gotta get up earlier. You gotta work on weekends to make things happen and drive things. And only after you put that time into stuff flower. I mean, you can't grow I think farmers have it probably the best, and I think that's probably where I got my work ethic from my dad. He was originally from Minnesota and a dairy farmer, and we grew corn and sorghum and green beans and all stuff. So when I was really, really young, I was on a farm, but even up to the day that my dad passed, he always had a garden. He always liked working with his hands out there, and it was always, I hated it because I liked working in the store, but I didn't like working in the dirt for the most part because I was doing enough weed pulling for everybody else, but Dad would always say, it's like watching a plant grow. You plant the seed, you work it, you water it, you fertilize it, you pull the weeds around it, and eventually it's going to grow. And as long as you keep doing it, it's going to grow up to a point where then it's an ear of corn or a tomato, something you can harvest. And as long as you harvest right, you're going to have plenty of seeds for that next year. And it's a process. And just people just don't get that. And I don't know what it is.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
What would you want to tell your dad if you had a chance to meet him again?
Oh God, what I wouldn't say. What do I say about my dad? It'd be a big hug. Dad was a jokester like me. One of my fondest memories of my father is my senior year in high school. I mean, I was team captain, and after a game, I was going out with some friends. I didn't have any cash. I remember, hey, Dad, can I borrow some bucks from you? He's like, yeah, we're standing in the locker room. All my buddies are around me. He's like, you got to give me a kiss in the cheek to get $20. I'm like, what the hell? So I gave him a kiss in the cheek. He gave me the $20 and walked out. Just talking about life. I know he'd be proud of what I've accomplished and how hard I've worked, and I think he'd also. I'm sure my dad would also say, hey, make sure you take time to enjoy the memories you create. I know I've been guilty of that. I know I'm a workaholic and a lot of stuff because I enjoy it. It's not work to me a lot of times, but it's taking the time to tell a friend, hey, it's great to have you here, or spend time with you, and take some time for yourself. Because Dad worked his heart off. He wasn't the most financially intelligent guy. I mean, he did a multitude of things in his life, but I think that's what Dad would say to me, and I would just say, my dad was there when I got divorced and was there to help me. No, Dad was not there when I got divorced. That was probably the hardest time, not having somebody to talk to about that understood it, because he'd gone through that early on in his life. But just visiting with him, tell him how much I miss him, just telling stories and having a joke and having a beer with him, I guess, would be a good thing. Just sitting there visiting, because it's man, you really got me on that one, man. I'm not going to cry here. This is not going to be Roy Firestone on ESPN.
I'm trying to be Oprah.
I just tell him I love him. I miss him, and just talk about life. That would be basically what I'd tell him, I guess. Is just there's so much to talk about, I guess you could say. What about yourself, man?
Very much the same. I would say thanks for everything. I mean, he really, shaped my life, and we're very close. So, same thing. So I'm trying to do this Oprah thing, and it's not working.
Trying to do what? This Oprah thing? Yeah, there you go. Do you want me to get a couch and jump up and down on it? We got a question here. Joseph asked, are you part of the American Association of Private Lenders, George?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, we've sent, I think a lot of our students are there, and I think I would say half the people there are our students, or more than half.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about a couple. Are you got any events lined up that you're planning on going to, attending, to network and anything like that? Because I'm sure people are probably interested, because what is it? It's hard to believe February is almost over. We got a week left in February, less than that. So, like, are you headed out to Paper Source, or I know I'm going to be going to a crowdfunding convention in Vegas here on some stuff, because we're working on getting a Reg A approved. But any events that you have on the horizon that you're going to?
You know what? I love going to events, and I have a whole bunch on my calendar, but I can't even remember any right now. But I'm the one that I'm trying to go to more often is how to be a more impactful or an impact investor, which is really about more than just making money, but what are things you can do as an investor with your money that has a positive impact across, for society and help society. So things like this, I'm so intrigued by that. We have access to a lot of money that from very, very wealthy families that I know, and they're all looking for the same thing. They don't want their money just to be about returns, but impact. And so I'm in the same boat. I want to know that my money, my dollars have an impact on society.
Sure.
So that's what's been sort of things I'm looking more and more into.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's That's a good thing. I mean, it's about green investing and being able to help thing in your neck of the woods, or what you're putting your money into is actually making a difference in people's lives for things like that.
Exactly.
So we've got a buddy, Wes Chat, as the Human Project, that is doing amazing things, traveling the country and talking to kids and really helping out with that. And we're a big supporter of helping him get things rock and rolling on that. So, question: where do you see yourself in 5 years, George?
So a lot of people ask me, what are my 5-year goals, and I tell them. So it's a different question, but I tell them I'm living my goals right now. I'm living the life I've always wanted, but looking forward in 5 years, I want to be able to look back and have a measurable impact on society. So one of the things I'm doing a lot right now is exactly that, and we're launching a number of things to do with that. So in 5 years, I want to know that I have had a million people that have gone through one specific thing I'm doing, which results in $1 billion of money that gets recaptured into people's lives. And everything's very measurable, so I have very specific statistics, and I'm working on that. We launched it. Again, it's called the Family Bank Game, but it's I want to. I always remember, what's the actor? Independence Day. What's the actor's name? I'm so bad with it. No.
Will Smith.
Will Smith. So Will Smith said one of the things he said is, "I want this world to be a better place because I was here," and that's what drives me. And that's something I want to keep working on to have a bigger impact on this planet. So that's my sort of 5-year goal. What about you?
The market is so crazy right now with what's going on, and I think, especially with us doing the distressed paper side, I think it's going to play out another 5 years. So I think definitely we're trying to change how we do business first and foremost. Steph and I were talking about this actually last night or the night before about it when I come up with these ideas for questions for us to kind of think about. And I love helping people. And we just had a student close on her first 3 note deals yesterday, and I think I really, over the next 5 years, want to help 5,000 investors really make a difference in their life, because the money she's going to make on these deals are going to basically be what she made all of last year in wholesaling. And so if I can help 5,000 people become millionaires on that, I know it's going to be huge in responsives and helping causes and things like that, because we've got different things besides just kids. And Steph over here is a big proponent of dealing with animal causes and things like that, and just making sure that we're helping.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned something I'm intrigued by about how you run your business. Can you expand on that? I mean, besides what you just mentioned right now about having, helping other causes, but is there something else behind that?
As far as like an if to an if, or a Y to a Y?
Not just why, but just was there something specific about the way you run your business? Because I'm so intrigued by that, because we spend so much time at work with people we work with, and so having that synergy is extremely important. So I'm curious to know what ideas you guys are discussing.
Well, I'm a big proponent of masterminds. I'm always been a big proponent of masterminds, and we had to Tampa to be a part of a mastermind, and I'm a part called Collective Genius. It's like 100 of the 110, 120 of the top real estate guys, and literally I'm like a minority there, being in the paper game. I'm only like 5%, but going to network and stuff like that. But I'm a big proponent of, when I started teaching, it was to kind of give back, because I had such a fortunate situation to kind of be involved in learning the paper business with Bob Leonetti and Jamie Cale, who I learned a business from, and helped change my life then. That's kind of been my passion, to help pull people out of their despairs to get them to where they need to be. So we always try to, I'll help somebody as much as they can, but I can't do that first step for them. You know what I mean, George?
But let me ask you. So let's go back to how you run things internally.
Oh, how I run things internally? We do everything ourselves. No, I'm just joking.
But let me get specific. Have you seen the Simon Sinek video?
No, I have not seen that. I've not seen that one.
You have to watch that. Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. In fact, go to TED.com. It's a TEDx or it's a TED Talk, and I recommend everyone see it. It's called Start with Why, and make sure you and everyone there watches it together.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Sinek is S-I-N-E-K again, and it's on TED.com, and have a discussion around it. It's not obvious, you have to really think about it, but one of the things it does is it brings the whole team together.
Sure.
And it makes for a better team, and your students and everyone will experience that. So we always start our events with with a certain talk about because we really believe that this is more than just money, and so we do a whole thing for like 15 minutes or so. But make sure you watch that video, and I tell everyone on the call, watch that video for your business, for whatever it is you're doing, investing, and you'll be a much better investor, much better business just by watching that and following through.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of kind of little internal goals that we try to hit. Our biggest goal is we've been such a driving force with a lot of stuff, but I'm fortunate enough we've got people that we've surrounded ourselves with good people. Like our mastermind group, I'm excited about because a lot of people help out with different things like that. Like we're working on a Reg A to get approved now. It's in the final stages for a PPM, and excited about that. And once that's done, how our team, Chase and Stephanie and Robert Woods and Kimberly Banks Fawcett will be really, they're already doing things to help out and really providing great things. I mean, Chase and Robbie have like one of the top, they have the top Note podcast out there called Note MBA, and just helping people. And I think that's the biggest thing is my Note Mastermind. I don't have a lot of family. I don't have hardly any family I'm close to like I was with my father. My mastermind is really more my family, and so it's like I like helping those guys overcome things, and those girls, ladies and gentlemen, making things happen. And I see some big things with that group because already big things are happening, and us together really taking things to a whole different level than most people are used to. If I get a chance to read I'm a big proponent of servant leadership.
Yep, me too.
Push the people around you will make yourself successful, and that's what we try to focus on. I mean, we have our failures, we have our stuff that blows up in our face like everybody else does, but I'm a big proponent, but you only got 30 seconds to bitch about. If it happened to you, you got 30 seconds. If it didn't happen to you, you have no right in the world to bitch about it at all. Just keep moving, So, last half question.
Oh.
Last half question here, and we're right on time, so I think it'd be a good way to kind of wrap up the call. George Antone is blank. Fill in the gap.
Oh shit. Sexy, and he knows it.
That's fun. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap it up.
What about you, Scott?
Scott Carson is crazy, is what people would tell me. You're one crazy individual.
I'm going to say Scott Carson is a big, big heart.
Yeah, I would say I got a big heart. You got a big heart too, buddy. That's why we get along so well. That's why we get along so well. We love helping people and making things happen. And we had this idea. Was it Sunday or Monday? We thought about this. Monday afternoon. Yeah. So it's crazy.
So hey man, I want to thank you for everything. Like I said before this call, I've always heard amazing things about you, and it's always been good. And the lives you've changed are just amazing. And I just want to thank you for everything you do, and really for helping me, get into this virtual classes along with Chase. And it cost me so much to upgrade my internet now, so hopefully the video is good enough. But
hey, trust me, your internet is going to be well worth it. The money you make with your internet classes, the time you save, man. I mean, I look back. I literally last 4 years, I've been on Southwest airline flights at least 45 times a year, and you know that. You've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that was a big push. Was my health was important to me because traveling so much the last 4 years, I put on another. I don't have a 6-pack. I got like 2 kegs here. narrowing it down and getting back to healthy and getting to the gym and just being home, enjoying. We work hard enough. It's time to enjoy it, And I know you got a big heart. That's why I was like, hey man, this is the way we're doing it with these virtuals, and it's going a long way. And you can work half as hard and make twice the amount of money because it helps you with really being able to have that handshake and that develop those relationships with your existing students just much more like we have. So. Cool.
So let me put you on the spot here again.
Okay.
Because you talk about health, and you and I both we know how important health is. So are you doing something with your health?
Yes, sir. I sure am.
What are you doing?
I have a trainer when I'm home here. Trainer Thomas Nee. I meet with him 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m.
Wow.
I'm actually in less than 48 days. I'm running a 10K here in Austin.
Wow.
Stephanie Goodman over here keeps me in line as best she can with fit foods and making sure I'm taking vitamins and all that good stuff. Salads, as long as I'm in the office for the most part, yeah. But yeah, I've got some things to do. I mean, that's the biggest is working out. I've got a membership at the 2004 Hour Fitness, which is right across the street. I also have a membership at the just did this a couple weeks ago, a boxing club membership, which.
Wow.
I'll get out of here, have a glass of water. I may go over and do a class here at 7:30. So
that's excellent. So I'm gonna ask you to declare a goal, a health goal, in front of everyone for the next 4 weeks. What would the goal be?
Next 4 weeks.
Yeah. So give us actually an exact date. What's today?
Next 4. Okay. So let's just say the end of March because we're at the Ides of March. Oh, that's good. At the Ides of March.
Okay, March. Yeah. Go ahead. End of March. What's your goal?
March. We'll just say I'll drop 20 pounds by the end of March.
Wow. 20 pounds.
Yeah, 20 pounds. Because that's really it's not really that much. I mean, if you think of it, at the end of March, it's a pound a day. It's 3,500 calories deficit. If I run and keep eating salads, which I've already been planning on doing, that's half my deficit calorie per day. And then also just hitting cardio every day or walking another 1,500 calories.
So on March 31st, you're going to let us know if you lost 20 pounds.
I'll do that. I'll throw it out there. Yeah, I'll put it out here.
So look in the camera and declare it in front of everyone.
By the end of March of 2016, the health goal of dropping 20 pounds this next month.
Okay, so I'm going to make one too, because I stopped drinking soda 4 weeks ago, and so I'm going to declare one right now. March 31st, I will lose 15 pounds.
Okay.
I'm going to pick something realistic for me. So 15 pounds. And you know what? We'll get back on, and we'll see if we hit those goals.
We'll do that. I'm going to go drink 3 glasses of water to get rid of the 1 beer I've had.
Excellent. Hey, man, I'm proud of you. And hopefully everyone enjoyed the call. Let us know if you did enjoy it. And I got to tell you guys, this is what I love doing, is hanging out with good people and fun. And this was meant to be just that, just having fun and having you guys join us. So let us know if this worked. And I would love to get your any feedback on future calls. If there's anything you guys want Scott to talk about with his future guests, and I'm sure I'm going to start doing this as well, so we'd love to get that too. So again, thanks Scott for doing this.
Thanks, George, for being a part of it. Thanks, Chase. Thanks, Steph. Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your Wednesday afternoon. Looks like we had close to, I don't know, still got 44 people online watching us, so we must have done something right. So we'll see you guys at the top, everybody. Have a great week, and I will be talking to you later, George. I'm going to kick your butt. You're going to get 15, I'm going to get 20. Knock it out, buddy. High five.
Thanks.